this lesson, we are going to create this responsive grid system which can trigger in different responsive view. Look at that. So let's go and learn how to do it in the Dreamweaver. Alright people, so what we are going to do is we are going to create this column here, and our design has them changing from the desktop, tablet and mobile. And you can see that when it's in the desktop, it's in 3 columns, down to tablet 2 columns, and down to mobile 1 column. So what I need to explain to you here is we are going to create a box. So 1 column here, and we're going to make this box 33% of the width, so they can stack onto each another. And because we set this image column to 33%, the second box is going to fit next to it. And the next images is going to fit as well. But the next one is not going to fit because it's only allowed 100% out of the width. So automatically it will push down to the next line. And that's when it becomes useful when you are in the tablet mode. When you're down to the tablet mode, we're going to fit this box to 50%. 50% of the width. So the first box is going to fit, the second box 50% is going to fit as well, but the third box is not going to fit and it will go down to the next line. Same when we go down to the mobile, same image, same columns, and we're going to say that, hey you box, you're going to be 100% this time, so the next box are not going to fit and it will stack down automatically. And that's how responsive image tiling works. Let's go and actually do that in Dreamweaver. Okay, so before we begin, we are going to actually put a div tag right after the div hero content box. So you know that you have this div where you have a nested H1, you have a nested HR, and you have a nested button. Everything kept nicely under one big div. So we're going to do exactly the same thing before we put in the columns for the image grid. And we're going to put the div right after the hero content div. So with the hero content div selected, click once on the live view, go to insert, click div, so click after. Now this div actually appeared just right underneath the button by default. Yep, so we're going to do some styling, and we're going to style the padding so that we have some space in between, and also some space in between on the left for the margin. So let's go and do it now. So let's go and create a class to do that. Click Styles, into the global, create a class right after the button talk. We're going to put the name as .image-grid, and we're going to add some margin right here. And nothing is actually applying because we haven't applied it on the div. So save the work first and apply it now. We type .image. Now select this image grid. Yep, so you can see we can go right over, down here. Now let's start from here. So say maybe we're going to put it around 120. Okay. So inside this div, we are going to put in our column. So with the div selected on the live view, go insert and insert another division span, which is the div, and we go nested. It appears to you that you have 2 div right here, and it starts to look confusing. So quickly add a class here, styles, into the global. Right after the image grid, I'm going to create a class called call. I'm going to call this call, so type period, C-O-L, call, which is a industry standard syntax for the column. So yep, you can actually put any name that you prefer, but sometimes it's good to use back the standard syntax. So when you start working on somebody else's project or any other template, you will see this call, it's actually a commonly name inside the syntax. And you kind of like feel the name is familiar for you. So that's the way you learn. Alright, so for this call here, we are going to put a background color. Now we actually don't need the background color, but just so that we see it and it's easy to describe. So let's just put a background color to it. Alright, and we want it RGB to be transparent. So I'm going to apply it right here, the one which is selected right now. Click plus sign, dot, col, call. So now let's look down to the code view. Alright, now this is the div for the image grid. right? And we have a nested div inside the image grid, which the class name is called call, all right? And now we can delete the text placeholder for the image grid class. So select this, all right, and delete it. Nice. So this is the div for image grid class, and we have a nested div, which the class name is called called, right? So we could now go in and click on this one right here, and go to duplicate disk, right click, duplicate, and have 6 of them. And Command D is the shortcut to duplicate it on the Mac, and on the desktop it will be Control D. So Command D, Command D, Command D, and Command D. So we have 6 of them now. Look at the code and the live view. But look at that, it's stacked on each another. So we're going to undo this. So Command Z is for the Mac and Control Z is for the PC. Because when you look at the image grid, you can see that the desktop column is 33%, tablet is 50%, and mobile is 100%. So we're going to create these 3 classes and trigger them at different media query. So you can say when you're on the desktop, please be 33%, and when you're on the tablet, turn to 50%, and when you're in the mobile, please be 100%. So create the desktop version first. Back to Dreamweaver. So now we're going to create a class selector. Click Styles, enter the global, create a class just right after the call, and we name it as .call-large. So we put a syntax called LG. So LG is another common way of calling large. So now I'm going to set the width to percentage. Now make sure it's the percentage and type in 33%. Now double check again, make sure it is 33% and not pixel, because by default, it will go back to the pixel. So you have to actually force it into percentage each time. So we are going to apply it now on the div. Click the div on the live view and add the plus sign, type in .call-large. There you go, the 33%. So let's try and duplicate now. Just right click. They are not stacking next to each other like what we did just now. So Command D on the keyboard to make another 4 of them. So this is the basic. We are going to have 6 of them. Alright, so these are the basic of having different percentages for different view. But we haven't quite fixed the first column yet, so let's just undo, go back, Command Z. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this float left. So I'm going to use the reusable class where we have actually created it earlier on. This is the one, float left. Yep. So just go in and apply it on the div. Click plus sign, type float left, and select float left. And let's have a check. We have created a div class called .call and .call-large to trigger the 33% and to float it left in order to make it not stacking to each another. Alright, so it's time to duplicate again. Command D. Hey, look at that. Now we are talking. This is how it should look like. Let's have a look in the browser. So save all and preview. And go down to the tablet. As you can see, that it's responsive right now. Alright, let's check the image grid again. One of the design that I would like to include is to have some spacing in between the columns and row. So back into the Dreamweaver. So I'm going to style the call a little bit on the margin. So let's go to the call selector. Okay, the margin. And remember we set it to percentages earlier. So we have to put 1% from the left and another 1% from the right. And now you see my design there has gone and broken because this left and right margin, which is 1 plus 1, 2%, has added into my margin, which is now 33 plus 2, which is 35%. So it got bigger. So each box of 33% times 3, and plus added the 1% at the side, it has gone beyond 100%, and that's the reason why it's broken. And to fix that, we have to fix our column LG. So go to the selector column LG, and from 33 we're going to reduce to 31%. And yep, this is how it should look like. So remember, every time you add anything to the padding, you have to minus off from the margin before you used it. And last thing is, I want to add a little bit of the margin from my top and bottom as well. So we go back to our column selector and adjust the margin. So let's put 1% on the bottom. All right. And we need another more spacing right here. So this is how it works for the column. 1% for this column, another 1% for this column. So it's added on, it's called 2%. So here's 1% and here's 2%. So we need to add the bottom 2%. For actual, we need to add 2% now. Okay. So now it looks nice and even. Let's save and preview. And cool, so now it's all fit. So now we're going to add in a couple of images. Let's do that in our next video.